to see it again. It's a really fucking good movie.
It is a really good movie. I'm just not sure I'm, like, emotionally prepared to go through all of that again.
I think because I just watched, like Doug Walker did, like, his big, like, sibling rivalry on it, and he said, like, it's not really a movie you can spoil, per se, other than, like, the big one at the end. But, like, it's a movie based purely around, like, character moments and character beats.
Yeah.
This give me can we do an X-Men movie week next week?
Sure.
We can discuss Logan and then some other X-Men movie.
So what would we do so I think, like, well, we kind of already blew our load because we did the big, like, X-Men Apocalypse mini-sode.
Well,
I
just rewatched The Wolverine.
And
it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Until the third act. But
yeah, I'm going to talk about that. Like, I think part of why I think I'm going to get into why Logan is so great in regards to that. Granted, I don't think the third act breaks the Wolverine.
No, I don't think so either. I think you can really appreciate that movie for, like, it's all the different stuff that it does in the first two acts.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of very, very high points. I don't know what else we would do.
The only... I'm thinking, like, we could do, like, X2, or...
Yeah, I've never seen X2 all the way through. And then I've kind of been meaning to rewatch Days of Future Past.
I haven't. I think the last thing I remember about that movie is that, like, the janky third act CGI.
Well, that can apply to most of the X-Men movies.
Yeah. and Discount Nixon.
Well, the thing about it is that, like, in the first X-Men movie, they didn't have that much of a budget, and it's 2000. I can kind of accept that. In the second one, it's mostly, like, practical stuff, so it's all corridors.
All right, I'm willing to do an X-Men episode.
It's a well.
I had actually planned to rewatch the Wolverine for the podcast when Logan rolled around, but then Seijun Suzuki died, and I totally forgot about it.
And now, here we
are. But we're fine. We're not known for our timely hot takes. We didn't even address the Oscars.
Should we address the Oscars?
Oh no, the best movie won.
We're recording this a week later, and I already think people don't care anymore.
Yeah, who cares about the Oscars? Even when, like, the fuck up of all fuck ups happen, people are still like, oh, okay.
And yeah, the best movie won.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I think I'm gonna go see it again.
What, Moonlight?
Yeah.
That's a movie where I'm like, just the. I do kind of want to see that again. I just don't know how and when.
Yeah.
I know
if it's playing anywhere around here anymore.
I know that I won't get the same movie-going experience as I did the first time, but that's okay.
Man, this is bullshit!
And I have to go find that man and say, thank you. Thank you.
And I'll be there with you.
My roommate and I were just kind of ahead of the curve on that movie. We saw it, like, the weekend after it first came out, so it's been a while for me. And I want to revisit it.
I know. I remember, like, I think I was at, like, my little film group, my little film club meeting, and like the person running it said, like, I'm not that sold on Moonlight, and then the whole room was just like,
oh, yay. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Hack Fraud Show.
We exist.
Yep.
Volume 2.
Volume 2. Guys, I just want to thank you again for a wonderful year of podcasting.
Thank you too. This has been a goddamn ride.
Editing that list episode was rather delightful.
Hearing Warner say my best movie is Mask of the Phantasm, and us going, oh yeah, that was delightful.
I think it's nice to see, you know, I'm not going to knock anybody here, but it's good to see, John, you and I were already kind of movie heads going into this thing.
Yeah.
It's nice to see how much Reed has evolved, and it's also kind of nice to see that Warner hasn't evolved at all. Which is fine.
Yeah. I think, like, for one of the first times, like, Reed Reed's take on this week's movies was almost exactly the same as mine, which I think is progress.
I think for newbies coming in hot on Seijun Suzuki, the only possible reaction is what the fuck.
Yeah, it's like when Tran showed me anime for the first time, and I'm like, oh god, what is this?
All right, so we're back to the regular type of show this week. We're doing Seijun Suzuki, batshit crazy Japanese director. We're looking at two of his new wave '60s yakuza films.
Yep. I've realized that we've been doing quite a bit of Japan on this podcast.
Yeah.
Everything from Studio Ghibli to Kurosawa to this. And I intend to go back to Japanese.
I like Japan. I like Japanese movies. I need to see some Ozu films. We need to do an Ozu episode at some point.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen like one, and I really liked it. For the life of me, I can't remember the name of it.
Was it called Good? Was it Good Morning?
Yes, it was.
I really want to see that.
Yeah, Good Morning's a lot of fun.
All right, but first, of course, we return to that age-old question. What we've been watching? Well, I saw a French. Let me get the date on this, because I think there's like a change in time within the movie, and I want to make sure I get this right. Okay, all right. So I wasn't completely fucking wrong. Okay, I saw the big blown up French musical, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Oh my goodness!
Ooh.
I really like it.
Jacques Demy.
I really it's one of these things like they sing literally every word, but they realize that's kind of a funny thing, and they do a lot of jokes of that. So that's a lot of fun. It's one of the it kind of has like the La La Land ending, whereas like we have like this love story. And they get separated, and they stay separated at the end, but there isn't like the La La Land cop-out where everyone gets everything they want. Mm. Like everyone has like the compromise. It's also a movie about like a woman who gets pregnant when not married, which is pretty damn progressive for the time. So yeah, and it's a gorgeous movie. Like the colors, the angles, the shots, it's just a sumptuous looking movie.
Yeah.
The ending's really nice and bittersweet, as it should be. I don't have really too much to say about it, because it's not like a thoroughly deep film. Though it has some things like the war in Algeria, which was going on at the time. That's a prominent point of the movie. The ennui felt by the soldier coming home from Algeria is like a real thought out plot point in the movie, and that's really interesting.
Well, this movie is like the influence on La La Land. Like Damien Chazelle always brings this movie up when he's talking about his influences, and I kind of need to see it.
It's La La Land without any of the cop outs.
Okay.
And I like it. I don't think it's not my most favorite thing in the world, and I don't think the music's that great. It's kind of and after a while, like, you just kind of forget it's music, and you just it's just dialogue by a certain point, because they sing every word. Regardless, it's a movie. People should see it.
It's a movie.
I have shockingly little to say about it. But what else? Shit, what else did I see? I saw at the Wexner Center, I saw a Senegal-produced film about, it's from 2012. It's about people from Senegal going over, trying to smuggle their way into Spain, into Europe, via like these really small little motorized, practically lifeboats. It's called The Pyrogue. I fell asleep. It was one of those experiences where it's like I was like 30 minutes into it. Like, it's only like 87 minutes. I got like 30 minutes into it. I fell asleep. Then there's some huge storm at sea, and then I just went ah, and woke up for most of it at that point.
Maybe I shouldn't even have brought up this movie because I was just mostly bored.
Yeah.
It's a kind of movie it's a movie made from a different perspective. It's a Senegalese filmmaker. Or I think it's a Senegalese filmmaker. The movie features people from Senegal and so forth, and it's a different perspective. It spends just the majority of it is on this boat, and people fucking die, and it's really somber and really and full of human moments and so forth. I just think I can't really think of too many new ideas it's bringing to the table other than it's just a new perspective. It's not the European perspective of, God damn it, we got all these migrants coming over. And that's worth something, but I just don't think it's all that fascinating a movie. But regardless, I think that's all I saw this week outside of the big one.
The big one, which we'll discuss next week, I guess.
Oh, are we not doing it this week?
Logan, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, Reed hasn't seen it yet, and if we're going to do an X-Men movie or an X-Men episode, we might as well just save it.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is a shame, because I was really looking forward to talking about it, but...
I was too.
We'll just say we really liked it.
Go out and fucking see it.
It was the first movie to make me cry in 12 years. I think I'm comfortable admitting that.
I mean, it brings out a nice human element and nice humility.
Hey, I was pretty close. I was pretty damn close to crying near the end. I'm not going to judge you at all.
Yeah. All right, Reed, what have you been watching?
Oops.
That is okay.
Yeah, that's
okay.
And granted, all the other films I saw this week were films I had to see.
So this week I watched a few things. Since we're not talking about, I'll also save the Wolverine for next week, I think. But I did see some interesting things. So you may remember. Did I? I'm sorry, I forgot.
We're losing it.
I'm sorry. I think immediately, or shortly after we recorded the last episode, I went out and saw John Wick Chapter 2.
Oh, how was that?
All right, so I have to tell a story about my movie-going experiences over the last week.
Oh, I love these.
So, major movie theater chains are always the worst place to see a movie. But there's one pretty close to my campus where they have a really good student discount, so we go there a lot. We saw John Wick Chapter 2 there, and we also saw Jordan Peele's Get Out there. Which, I'll say right out, go out and fucking see Get Out. It is so good.
Yeah, it doesn't have a 99 on Rotten Tomatoes.
It had a solid 100 until Armand White, the same guy who gave the negative review of Toy Story 3, wandered in with his little national review post and wrote the only negative review of Get Out.
Fucking Armand White.
And fucking Armand White. Literally, as the credits started rolling, I turned to my friend who I was seeing the movie with and went, "Fuck Armand White." But anyway, okay, so we saw both of these at the same theater, the same Cinemark near my campus, and so one thing I've learned is that apparently in LA, no matter what the movie is, someone is going to bring their small kids to it.
Yeah.
There was a baby that was crying when I saw Batman v Superman. There were kids in Logan, and sitting right in front of me during John Wick Chapter 2 were two kids that could not have been older than 10. And this movie features a scene where a guy stabs a pencil into another guy's ear and pulls it out with little pieces of brain matter on it. It's a family picture.
It's a family picture. For the kids.
Oh my god. Anyway, John Wick 2 is really good. it builds on the world of I failed to mention this when I was talking about the first one, but there is some really interesting world building in these movies. They build a very interesting kind of universe of assassins. The second movie builds on that and expands it in really interesting ways. Some very, very inventive action scenes. I really liked it.
Maybe I'll never see it. Or you know, I might catch it on cable some night.
Yeah. I saw, of course, Jordan Peele's Get Out. Now that crowd was extremely rowdy. Audible gasps whenever anything like weird or scary would happen. Audible ohs at the sexy moments.
I hate those crowds.
I also usually hate those crowds, but I have to say, by the third act, I didn't care, because the third act of this movie is cuckoo bananas in the best way and lots of fun. So I was
great to see everyone's reaction.
Yeah, and the the end of this movie features a moment where there was a lot of applause, and okay, I almost don't want to say this, but my roommate who is black tells me that it is like a thing that black people are rowdy in movie theaters.
I think, yeah, it's, well, like, when I saw I Am Not Your Negro, that was one of the most active cinemas I had ever been in. God, that was an experience.
So anyway, Get Out, I don't want to say too much about it, because I really think it's a movie you should go into pretty much blind.
Mm-hmm. I'll probably try to see it spring break at some point.
It's fantastic. And then yesterday I also watched the documentary film, Wiener.
Oh yeah, the Anthony Weiner documentary.
Fascinating. So fascinating. Huma Abedin in that movie, it is so just heartbreaking to watch her just slowly break over the course of that movie.
Well, I think Darren Franich talked about it on Vidiots, and he just made it sound fascinating.
It is so fascinating. Seek it out. Watch it if you have the chance. It's only 96 minutes. It's oh my god. You watch it and you cannot believe this actually happened. And you cannot believe that they were allowed to film some of the things they have in this movie.
Darren French described it as, it's the documentary about people who slowly stop wanting to be documented.
Yeah, it really is. Just to see how far Anthony Weiner fell so fast. It's just...
Because he was used to be like the liberal world's darling.
Like this...
At a certain point in history.
The beginning of the movie features clips from C-SPAN of him going taking the floor in the House to debate some bill, something about providing health care to 9/11 victims or something, back in 2010.
The Holmes-Droga Act. Yeah.
Sure.
That's what's called. But anyways.
You know better than I. But yeah, it features just clips of him just taking the stand and just going nuts. And then just to see how completely his life just goes to shit is so fascinating.
The moral of the story, kids, keep your pecker in your pants.
Yes. We'll go with that. So that's, aside from movies featuring Wolverine, that's what I've been watching.
An interesting week.
I have to say, seeing Get Out and Logan 2 days in a row, I don't know when the last time was that I saw two movies that I enjoyed that much back to back.
2017, not a bad year for movies so far.
Yeah, 2017 is looking up, in my opinion. Guardians 2 is still on the way.
Yeah, you're right. Let's just hope the summer season just doesn't let us down.
Yeah.
We got some DC movies, so fingers crossed.
I'm cautiously optimistic about Wonder Woman. I'm holding out for the reviews on that one.
I don't...
Yeah, I think just about everybody's cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, everyone just oh yeah, the trailers look alright, but DC.
Yeah.
But regardless, are we ready
All right.
to see John's brain splatter against the back of his goddamn wall?
Let's talk about Seijun Suzuki. Suzuki.
That is not a pejorative, by the way.
Okay. So Suzuki is a guy. He worked for mainly for this studio Nikatsu in Japan, and he made a bunch of movies. Eventually, kind of broke out. Started doing his take on yakuza, which is basically like Japanese gangster movies. Started making them just more and more bonkers until he reached the apex with Branded to Kill, which, after seeing, the studio fired him for I'm quoting here, making movies that make no sense and make no money.
Yes, I saw that.
And he sued them, and he was blacklisted from the film industry for like the next 10 years. Eventually made a comeback, but Branded to Kill is kind of considered his masterpiece. And we also watched another Yakuza movie he made called Tokyo Drifter.
Yep. What was Tokyo? When was Tokyo Drifter? Was 64?
I think it was 66, and then Branded to Kill was 67 or 68.
What do we want to start with, kids?
Let's start with the movie worth blacklisting. The movie I think is best described as a freshly squeezed glass of grapefruit juice. That mainly because it makes you think two things: one, damn, this is pulpy, and two, what the fuck is this?
It's
all right. I think we already have the title of this episode.
What the fuck is this?
No, a freshly squeezed glass of grapefruit juice.
Another hit for Dr. Reed.
All right, let's talk Branded to Kill, I guess.
Okay, let's start with this movie's gorgeous.
Yes.
This movie is utterly gorgeous. Its use of black and white is absolutely stunning. Seijun Suzuki has just a wonderful eye.
Yes.
Okay,
right,
so it's about...
Let me get the ball rolling on this, because I've now seen this movie twice.
Okay, yeah, you're the most qualified.
Okay, well, all right, I have to say, this is a movie where you kind of have to have the Wikipedia summary open as you're watching it, just to follow what the fuck is going on, because Suzuki has this weird thing of, like, cutting to a new location without using an establishing shot, or, like, cutting out the footage of, like, characters walking places within a location that other directors would have.
He'll just cut, and he doesn't care about continuity, he doesn't care about... He just cuts.
Which is really interesting, but can make for kind of a whiplash-inducing viewing experience.
Yeah,
so
it's kinetic.
So this movie follows Joe Shishido as Goro Hanada, the number 3 hitman in the world.
Oh, is it the world?
Maybe not the world, maybe just in Japan. I don't really know.
Well, like a lot of things, they don't explain it.
Yeah. The movie kind of starts with him on this job, or taking this job, which he kind of finishes, and then he gets another job where he has to kill like 4 people.
Yeah.
Features a wildly fun like series of vignettes of him shooting people. One, he hides in a billboard with like a cigarette lighter that opens and like he pokes the gun out. One, he shoots a guy like up through a drain pipe, like through a sink. And then the last one, he releases like a balloon, like a big like hot air balloon, goes up into an office building, shoots up the room, jumps out the window, and then a few seconds later you see him floating up, hugging the balloon.
And like a guy in the room going, ah! As he's just lifting up in the background. There's also the scenes with his permanently naked wife.
Yes, his wife is naked for like fully naked for about 90% of her screen time.
Yeah, it'll just be a normal scene, and here she comes, and she's just holding furs, completely fucking naked. And this is just a standard thing. This is par for the goddamn course.
Well, this movie features a pretty wild and explicit sex scene, which I I had conveniently forgotten about.
Yeah,
Convenient.
we're a few cum shots away from porn here.
Yeah.
There's also like the weird woman who seems to be permanently in rain.
Oh yes.
With her obsession with dead birds and butterflies.
Yeah, so Misako, I believe, is her name.
Misako, yes.
So
who
she's
gets burned to death.
not actually. Dude, remember she like is revealed to be still alive at the end, and then he kind of goes crazy and accidentally shoots her.
Okay, so that's what that was. Okay.
Okay,
I'm piecing it all together. Okay, so that's okay. I get it now. I get it.
So this movie is kind of like riffing on noir tropes, and Misako is kind of a weird absurdist spin on the femme fatale, where she's like obsessed with death and just hypnotic to. All right, and we have to mention this. Our protagonist in this movie has a fetish where he gets turned on by sniffing boiling rice.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a thing. It's a feature.
It's a feature.
Like he has the wife just naked on the bed on like a duvet, and he'll say, "Boil me some rice."
This movie is bonkers, and I gotta say, I really like it.
I kind of like it too.
It's
like the fucking image of like our protagonist like leaning on the ground, going nuts, throwing dead butterflies on his back. I will never forget that image.
I think one of my favorite things is when kind of towards the end the mysterious number one hitman shows up and kind of engages in like psychological warfare with Hanada, and there's a moment where like Hanada decides he's going to like officially take on number one, and then it cuts to him bouncing a balloon around as like fun little music kicks in.
And like he has the guy, they're both in the room, and like he won't let them leave. And because of that, they can't use the restroom. So one of the guys just pisses down his leg, and they have to. And the other guy, they just escort him to the restroom. And when the parcel comes to the door, they both come up and they say, "Oh, can we have your seal?" Never mind, just take it.
I'm sure anyone who is listening to this that hasn't seen this movie is probably not believing this movie actually exists.
There's like, oh no, you're making this shit up.
You can't make this shit up.
You just cannot make this shit up.
Let's try and calm down and like really focus on here. What's good about this movie? Reed, I'm going to start with you. What is good about this movie?
Okay, what's good is the first act when we're starting is basically the shooting montage where I tallied 5 bodies less than 20 minutes into the movie. I thought that was good, but more towards the 20-minute mark, I'm like, okay, this is getting way too out of hand, really too fast. This is getting too crazy. And then basically Act 3, when number one shows up, that's probably one of the more comedic and batshit moments of this movie, and also yields an interesting last scene, if that.
Yeah. What is good about this movie? Well, we already said that it's absolutely gorgeous. It's one of the prettier black and white movies we've seen. It is just so unrestrained and uncompromising that is just wildly entertaining. Like, you just cannot get your eyes off of it.
Yeah.
And what's more is that, like, it's also strangely focused. Yeah. It is about this one guy. It is about this one world and his relationship with, like, this yakuza assassin world. And, like, that world is really developed and really played with. It's so, like, yeah, it's, despite all its batshit craziness, there is still a sense of, like, I still know what's going on. Yeah. I still know where all the moving pieces are, to an extent. Yeah. Tyler, what's good about this movie?
in your eyes.
Well, I counter this. What's bad about this movie? The first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. It was a lot of fun. It was really, really weird. I'll admit, the last half hour when number one shows up, the first time I saw this, I was not super jazzed on that part of the movie, but this time I really enjoyed it.
When number one shows up, and you just have the bizarro mind games.
Yeah.
I think that's the most entertaining part of the movie.
Yeah, and I love that action scene where, like, he goes to, like, the marina, and, like, the people are there waiting for him, and he, like, hooks up a car with, like, a rope pulley system and, like, hides under the car and, like, pulls it for... This movie has so many just crazy, absurd moments and so many, like, great, like, set-piece action sequences that are so inventive. It's a gorgeous movie. Joe Shishido in the lead performance is great. Such a weird twist on noir conventions and gangster conventions. The apartment with all the dead butterflies.
And the dead birds.
The dead birds. And the whole aesthetic of this movie. I dig it, man. It is so weird and twisted and fun. And a
fascination with both violence within itself and the macabre and doubt. And it is fascinating, this movie.
I will admit it takes some concentration to but the plot is almost beside the point. I feel like it is like a bunch of batshit crazy vignettes, like tied together loosely with dental floss and thrown onto cinema screens. I will say, like, it is just utterly jarring to watch because of his editing style, where he just cuts to things and he gives you just no explanation on where we are and what we're doing. It's just like, here we are, here we go, bang, crazy batshit vignette. Yeah.
So I can't recommend it for everyone, because I think, like, they just be like me and they just go, God, what am I watching? But you'll never forget it.
I don't mean to throw shade, but this one part of me I hate or thinks that this movie might be banned in the state of Utah.
There's like how women are treated in this movie is just so bizarre.
It is.
That's part of the part of the movie I cringe I just cringe on too much, and I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck?
Why is she always
Well, it's weird because, like, he and his wife have this weird relationship where they kind of have, like, a sort of BDSM thing going on.
Well, not even. It's just...
But without a safe word.
Well, not even. It's just harsh fucking. It almost looks non-consensual.
Those parts are a little... Yeah, I agree. That part where he has sex with Misako is really... kind of
That's I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, there's something happening there. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
We're really beside ourselves with these.
It's kind of hard to puzzle that out. I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe this movie's portrayal. I don't know, though. I think it's interesting to see because somehow, like, in 2017, we still have so few movies that are, like, an open depiction of, like, female sexuality, and I think this movie with the wife kind of has that.
Mm-hmm. And Misako is such a bizarre character that that's really fun to watch.
I'd say this has a bit more to say about masculinity than it does female sexuality.
Oh, I agree. It's more concerned with that, but it is there. And that's not to be...
It is progressive by the standards of 1967 in Japan. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Are we... granted, I'm not going to argue with someone going, oh my god, why is she always naked?
Yeah.
But Tokyo Drifter?
Alright, so that's Branded to Kill. I really recommend it if you're interested in, like, Japanese cinema. It's a very interesting movie. So let's talk Tokyo Drifter, I guess.
It's Branded to Kill. Go see it. Get your brain. If you've never seen one of these movies before, you'll get your brain blown out the back of your goddamn skull. But
maybe it'll be maybe it'll be an interesting experience. Then
I will say this: maybe like give it a few months, watch it again, and you might appreciate it more. Cause that was my experience with it.
Well, Tokyo
Tokyo Drifter. The big thing with this movie's in color, and I think that was for like budgetary reasons. Like Branded to Kill was like a much more low budget. Like the studio was kind of like, can you just make like a straightforward movie? And he did not.
Branded to Kill.
But Tokyo Drifter has a vibrant color scheme.
Yeah, it's another neon movie.
Yeah.
Whereas like it just fascinated with Tokyo and like just like the bright contrasting colors of Tokyo.
Yeah, I enjoyed this movie. Also, somehow I think this movie might make even less sense than Branded to Kill, if only because it sort of tries to make sense.
Well, yeah, that's here's the thing about it. In Branded to Kill, it's very stripped down and focused. It's about this guy, this number 3 assassin.
Yeah.
In this, it's about the Tokyo Drifter, but it's also about real estate embezzlement and like these crime organizations and embezzlement, and there's all these explanations of who owns what and who is doing where and what's going where, combined with just Suzuki just cutting to different locations randomly. And by like the halfway point, I was just sitting there going, I don't know what's going on. I don't know who's who. I don't know what's what. All I know is it looks gorgeous.
Well, I will say this. This movie features 2 characters, one named Tetsu and one named Tatsu. So...
and it's a movie that has a big, stupid brawl in a mock Wild West saloon.
That scene is outstanding. Like, I'm not even totally sure how it happens. It's like 1 second you're just kind of watching like this weird like West burlesque show and like guys kind of are standing around talking. And then the next second everybody's like hitting each other and it's like an all-out brawl.
It turns into the pie fight from Blazing Saddles. That's what it turns into.
Yeah.
And there's like the guy who is... Then there's the shootouts. Okay, what's the plot of this movie?
Okay, so...
All I just have is a loose connection of images beautifully rendered in color.
So, the Wikipedia summary for this one is much less detailed, so let me see if I can hash this out. So
that was the worst part. That's part of why I couldn't understand it, because I had it out and I was like, oh god, what's this? I don't know what it is.
So you have this guy named Tetsu who was part of like a yakuza crew that recently like went legitimate in like the real estate business. This other gang like tries to get him to join them instead. He won't do it. So they start like trying to buy out like his employer's real estate. And then something happens where like a landlord gets shot and Tetsu has to go on the lam. And then the last half of this movie is just kind of him just kind of meandering from action scene to action scene. And I gotta say, the first half of this movie, I was kind of like playing catch up the whole time, going like, what the fuck is happening? Like trying to follow the actual plot, which all proved fruitless. The second half of this movie, I really enjoyed just because it gets back to just the bonkers crazy action scenes that Suzuki is so good at.
I will say, like, the final fight sequence and, like, what is that, like, final big set piece? Is that, like, a burlesque?
It's like a music club or a lounge. I think it's like a lounge, like a night lounge.
Like, just that huge white space and the shootout that happens, that is just, like, wildly creative and wild and just really fun.
Yeah.
And, like, the use of, like, the motivated lighting that happens in this movie, the use of color, It is a feast for the eyes throughout the entirety of it. I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know who's who. I don't know. I think there's something about how like it's really hard to leave like these sort of criminal organizations once you're in.
Yeah.
And no matter what you try to do the distance yourself, there's always going to be something that brings you back, and there's always somebody at your throat, and there's always some danger about.
there's something about like being a loner and what that means for you, and like learning just to be an island amongst yourself. Honestly, that's honestly a theme that carries into Branded to Kill.
Yeah.
And like how there is no women's for the loner. And that's all interesting. I had this movie just gave me like a huge, just throbbing headache. I just started screaming in the middle of the TV.
I mean, you were kind of screaming via text message, I will admit.
It's like, do I recommend? I think I like it.
Well, you compared it to Paul Thomas Anderson's Inherent Vice, which is like another movie that like has a plot that kind of attempts to make sense for a while and then just kind of comes to nothing.
Yeah, whereas this, the plot stops halfway through, and it's just batshit crazy action for like the last how many minutes is it just batshit crazy action?
Like for at least 30, at least the last 30.
That's what I'm thinking. And the last 30 minutes of batshit crazy action are really fun.
Well, the thing is, this movie is only like 82 minutes long.
Yeah, that's the thing about like I despise Inherent Vice as a viewing experience, but like this is something where it's, again it had the experience of being like 9 and watching a Tarantino movie, but it's only 82 minutes, and there's still just a bunch of wonderful batshit crazy images throughout it.
Yeah.
Like the image of like the shootout on the train tracks, and the train is coming in on them, and the one guy gets run over by the train, or does he get run over by the train? I don't know.
They have like shootouts in the snow. They have the Wild West Club. They have that weird jazz club. There's a lot of great images and settings and moments in this movie.
Yeah, the Technicolor Dance Club with glass floors.
I think even if this movie is not in Technicolor, which it probably isn't, I can't think of any movie to which the term Technicolor is better applied.
Oh, yeah, that's like it's just constant reds, blues, yellows, greens, and just every color you could think of, and like it all in just like this retina popping neon brand of light.
Reed, did you not watch it? You didn't watch this movie, did you?
I think I might have watched the first 30 seconds, realized it wasn't in Japanese, realized it wasn't, didn't have subtitles, and I'm like, well, fuck, what do I do? Well, fuck.
I'm not sure it would make much of a difference whether it had subtitles or not. I think the experience would be the same.
Maybe. I do legitimately think that, like, this movie is hurt a little bit by attempting to make sense. Like, Branded to Kill is just wildly anarchic and absurdist throughout, and this movie like tries to make sense for like the first 30 minutes and doesn't really achieve it, but there's still a lot to like in this movie, and I did enjoy it. I think
it's a movie and a movie experience, again, I will never forget, and I will never quite get an experience as frustrating as like just sitting during this movie and trying to make sense of it and trying to analyze it, and all I get is just like disparate images just coming in and out. Yeah. So I think this is the first movie on the podcast that truly broke me, and I think I like it for that. It is only like how long is it again? Like 82 minutes.
Yeah.
It's only 82 minutes. Like it is like just wild. Again, it's just gorgeous. Like this man has just a wonderful eye for cinema.
Yeah.
And it does have it has character insofar as that I can't think of another movie quite like it.
Yeah.
And also like some of the ideas that do come out of the anarchy are actually fairly interesting. So I recommend it as like an experience. Like get some buddies together, like just forget the plot and just pay attention to what are the ideas it's bringing up and what things is it doing with color.
Yeah.
I think that's what I do, like, if I were, because I am sort of tempted to watch it again now. Just like just sort of like to go in with a different mindset. Because like we go into a mindset with movies that we will understand the plot.
Yeah.
Movie, that's just a basic assumption. And I'm just curious whether if we were just to go in and just throw that out the window, like I did with I kind of did a similar thing with Howl's Moving Castle, whereas I just threw the plot out the window and just watched it for character moments after a while. So I'm curious what that sort of treatment would do to it. But like as is, like it's a movie.
I think that would probably help. I think going into it with a somewhat different mindset, I think would be beneficial. Who knows? I may come back to this movie at some point and enjoy it even more.
Yeah, I'm not against that either, because it might have broken me, but I'm still not against like sitting down and trying to decipher it again. So, this guy,
I'm fascinated by him. You know, he has such.
I want to see more of his work.
He has such a great eye. So many interesting things going on. I wanna seek out more of his stuff.
And just so inventive set pieces.
Yeah.
I think I can't think of another comparison point for this guy. Really, with I can't think of a person with this editing style, with like this kind of knack for anarchic set pieces. I might want to go back to this well at some point. This was a fascinating week.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to that. So that's Seijun Suzuki week.
Oh God, it's
apparently the first of more to come, perhaps.
Possibly, we get to see more of me going.
Yeah, but next week something very different. As you may have heard at the front end of this podcast, we're gonna do a special X-Men episode, which I'm excited about.
This has kind of become a recurring thing on this podcast where because I think only really I had any experience with. Or actually, no, we all had like an experience of the X-Men movies, but they weren't really on our radar at the beginning of this podcast.
Well, yeah, like I had seen First Class, I had seen Days of Future Past, and the Wolverine. I liked those movies, but like seeing X-Men Apocalypse like up against Civil War was like what convinced me that like I think the X-Men movies are my favorite superhero franchise.
Yeah, at the moment. Yeah, they're the only ones doing interesting things, and like the X-Men Apocalypse experience combined with like I actually really like the original two Bryan Singer movies. The first one hasn't aged that well, but it's got some interesting ideas in it.
Yeah, I haven't seen either of them, so I think we will finally rectify that this week.
Yeah, I've actually seen them quite a bit, to be honest, because I really like them. it's just the thing. So let's do the goofy angle full X2 X-Men United.
X2 : X-Men United, which is a horrible title for hopefully a better movie.
I think it's a better movie. Right. It's interesting.
Yeah.
And it oddly has some things. It's oddly a movie of its time, yet also something that it's a strange movie. We'll get to this when we watch it again. So, and what else would we do? Because I think the only X-Men movie I just haven't seen is X3, and we sure as shit ain't doing that.
Ain't talking about that. I just rewatched the Wolverine, so if you guys want to, I mean, we're going to talk about Logan next week, obviously. Yeah. We'll talk about X2. I am going to rewatch Days of Future Past. If anyone else wants to do that,
because I might end up doing that as well, maybe.
Okay.
I'll try to fit in both. We'll see about I'll try to, because we're granted like my spring break is coming up. So like maybe I'll just like drive over to Miami, and I'll just force him to sit down and watch X-Men movies.
All right. I think I would also recommend rewatching the Wolverine or watching it read if you haven't seen it.
Okay.
It makes a very interesting companion piece to Logan.
Yeah, I think I wanted to try to see Wolverine because like I saw the trailers a couple times and this actually seems pretty interesting. But I just never got around to see it.
Yeah, the thing about we're gonna get into this. Like the Wolverine is kind of like if Logan was forced to be a PG-13, more standard superhero movie.
Yeah.
And that's both like a knack against it, but also a really interesting thing about it.
Yeah, I think you can really feel that James Mangold like took the lessons he learned from making the Wolverine, and also the Wolverine was in pre-production for like just for years. Like it was.
Oh yeah, like it was the fact that it came out and was anywhere near as coherent as it was is just a miracle.
Yeah. So I think James Mangold really like learned some lessons from that and applied them to Logan, as we'll see. So watch what you can, mix and match.
Maybe we'll talk. We'll probably talk about like First Class too.
Yeah, I really like First Class, so we'll probably end up talking about that.
Okay. I'm not as huge on First Classes, but we'll see about it.
See.
I'll probably sit down and watch Days of Future Past again because I've seen the Wolverine fairly recently. I think I watched it over the summer.
Yeah,
I think I watched it before we did our big our Apocalypse mini-sode.
I think you did too. Yeah, I had not seen it since I saw it in theaters, so I was eager to rewatch it going into Logan. So, all right, next week X-Men. We go from Japanese
the
art.
most interesting superhero franchise.
This just shows you what a podcast this is. We can careen from.
What a show!
We can careen from
crazy Japanese movies made by Flighty Auteur to the X-Men movies, the long-running, venerable blockbuster franchise that's been ongoing for 17 fucking years.
Yeah, and still more on the way, probably.
Yeah, it's Apocalypse. There's still some open ends.
I just wrap things up for the First Class crew and whatever. I don't know.
I really don't know where they're going to go on from here.
No superhero franchise has really ended.
No,
so I'm curious to see like if they're going to stop making X-Men movies.
Or whether they'll just do Spider-Man and just do hard reboot and just go, fuck it.
Yeah.
Or maybe they'll just cannibalize themselves again and like get like this brand new cast and then do like Days of Future Past but with the First Class people as like the old and then just keep this ball going for just decades.
All right. I don't want to think about that. The only thing I really want to see is a Michael Fassbender Magneto solo movie. I would.
Yeah, that is what we need.
I would show up for that. Okay, we'll talk more about this next week.
This has been the Hack Fraud Show. Thank you for sticking around.
Thank you for sticking around.
Thank you for sticking around as we dive into Volume 2 of fuck knows how many.
Yes. To which I look forward with great joy.
Yes.
All right.
I did.
Cool.
This fucking podcast.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody.
You've only seen the super sped up portion of it that Poach's viewing party.
No, we did that with The Last Stand. I thought.
No, there's the portion where we saw like where we sped it up and we had Hugh Jackman say "Striker!"
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I was gonna say you should make it into like one of your memes, John. It's like I'm not too sold on Moon.
I didn't like movie X. Pray my Wi-Fi doesn't shit the bed.
I guess Sarah fell asleep during Logan.
Yeah, she fell asleep during Logan, out of all things. I don't know how she did that. There's blood and guts through all of that movie.
I guess it was towards the beginning, which there's a little less going on, I guess.
He still stabs people through the fucking face.
Yeah, there's still a decent amount going on, but she still fell asleep somehow.
I invited my roommate to guest on the podcast if and when we do a Woody Allen episode, because he has seen almost all of Woody Allen's movies.
All of them.
Almost all of them.
guy makes like a movie a year.
Yeah, I know. He's a huge Woody Allen fan.
I haven't seen all of Orson Welles' movies.
Well, so few of them are readily available.
Yeah, that's the issue. Like I can't, and so few of them are in like are in an untruncated format.
Yeah. Well, Criterion is proving to be an invaluable resource here because they just put out Chimes at Midnight, and they announced they're putting out his Othello.
Yeah, Othello. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Shakespeare stuff because I'm not the biggest Shakespeare fan.
Well, fuck you.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We're gonna come hot on Akira Kurosawa's Shakespeare movies at some point. I hope you know that.
Yeah. I know. But it's Akira Kurosawa. How bad can it be?
Yeah.